Welcome everyone to my newly created YouTube channel. My goal with this channel is to show you how I personally go through with analyzing data and using specific tools such as Excel, Python, SQL, Tableau, and any other tools that I might be coming across. Any new tools I'll discover, I'll be sure to do a project using that tool in this channel as well. So I just wanted to kickstart by essentially doing a simple Excel analysis. Excel is one of the most commonly used tools in the corporate world, and for a lot of people, it's used for a lot of personal purposes as well, such as tracking expenditure, income, any of this stuff. It's always it's a very commonly used application. So what I've got in front of me is some meter data. We've all got electricity and gas meters at home, but rarely we think about how much do they actually consume, maybe per day or per month or throughout the whole year. So right now I'm on my energy account through my personal provider. And thankfully they have the option to look at my whole meter read history. So if you look down here, they've got a column for date, for reading, the type of reading, which I'll talk more about later, and the usage since the last reading as well. So we can do more in-depth analysis on this kind of data. What I'm going to do first is essentially something fairly simple, which is highlighting all of this data. It is essentially in a table format visually, so it's fairly easy to just copy and paste it into Excel. Just going to copy all of that. Then I'll open Excel on my desktop. I've got a blank worksheet here, so I'm sure most of people have come across Excel if you're watching this kind of video. But you can see on top there's the ribbon here. There's a lot of things to, explore with Excel. And with time, hopefully, we'll be able to explore most of these features that Excel offers. But right now, what I'm going to do is just paste all of the data I've copied into Excel straight up. I've got this cell highlighted, I'll just do paste here. Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work so well the way I was hoping to. I'm just gonna undo that, and then I will do paste special. Paste special, it just allows you to paste the data you've copied into different formats. So like I said, paste special allows you to paste the data in specific formats. So we just go here, okay, and just do it as text, press OK, and we've got it in a pretty nice format right here. So if we just have a quick look at this, it's right now the data is occupying 4 columns, A to D, and it covers up until pretty far down actually. We've got quite a few rows here, which is great. So what do I want to do here first? I'm just going to do some quick cleaning up, so just very lightly. We're just going to get into the analysis very shortly. I'll just quickly type in kilowatt hours here as a header. You may have noticed that we've got this blank row, a blank second row here. This really doesn't benefit us in any way, so I'm just going to quickly delete it, and then we've got slightly cleaner data here. Okay, we've got the date in a date month year format, and we've got a dash in between the dates and months and years. We've got the readings here. These are cumulative readings, so if you're not already aware, a meter shows the cumulative usage that you may have used on gas or electricity. So if you have a reading, if you get a new meter or start from zero, and let's say in about a month you'll use 100 kilowatt hours, it's going to go up to 100 kilowatt hours, and then you'll be billed from that difference. Sorry, let me clarify. Suppliers usually they ask for readings at the beginning and at the end of a billing period, which lasts usually a month. And they'll use the difference between those to calculate the usage, and then multiply the usage by like a unit rate, and then that's how your bill is calculated usually here in the UK. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to press the shift key to go along the whole width of this table, as you could say, and then I'm going to press Control Shift and then down, just like we're covering, or we've highlighted the whole table here. And what I'm going to do, it's not identified as a table in Excel yet. So what I'll do, I'll just press Control T, and you'll see that that's the shortcut for creating a table. It shows the whole dimensions of the table in this little area here. So it's going from A1 all the way to D644. So those are the two outer corners in terms of the cell location of the table. And you can choose to click here saying my table has headers. We do know our table does have headers, but let's see what happens when we don't click this. Yeah, so if we don't click this, the date, reading, type, usage, it's not considered headings by Excel. So Excel will create an additional row and create these headings here. So obviously this is kind of less than ideal. I mean, we can still get the job done, but obviously date, reading, type, and usage, they're not actual data. Right now it's going to be considered as data if we leave it like this, but it's obviously not. It's actually headers. It's not part of the table. I'll just press the undo button, so Control Z, and I'll make the table again, Control T. This time click this box, and there we have it. So we've got these headings in a different, well, first of all, let's just look at how it's different. So we've got these this kind of banded table here. So we've got the column in this dark, the cells are, navy blue, and then the data is alternating between, the way the cell looks, the cell colors alternate between blue and white. So that's how we've got it here. And if we have a look here, we've got these little arrows on our headers. Now what do these do? So we can see here that when we press the arrow on date, we can see these filters, 2025, 2024, 2023. When we drop down, it goes even further to months, and then the specific dates. So obviously it's pretty impressive when you actually think about it. Let's say we only wanted to look at 2023 data. We'll untick 2024 and 5, and then just apply it. And let's just have a look here. So we can see all of the data. We can only see 2023 meter readings now. And you'll notice a few things. So it shows the latest or most recent readings at the top, and the oldest readings at the bottom. Now, I actually work in the energy industry, so when I like to look at meter readings for analysis, I prefer seeing the oldest at the top and then the newest at the bottom. So you can change how the data is sorted in a table. So what we can do is we can do ascending, my mistake. So we can see it's ascending now, ascending from the oldest to the newest reading. So the oldest we've got is in June 2023. And then we can see the newest, or the most recent in 2023 is this December reading. You'll also notice that when you filter certain data in a table, if you notice the columns, it jumps from 1 to 591, 592, 593. These are the actual rows in the whole entire table. It's showing those rows in this now newly filtered table. So it's important to just keep that in mind, that of course it's only showing you certain part of the table, and that's denoted by these row references right here. Another thing to notice is you can also change the table style up here as well. So we've got this normal blue and white variation. You can choose orange, green, another blue, another purple. You've got all these different options here. So what am I in the mood to do now? I'll choose this orange. Why not? They're all more of a peach color. Okay, now what I'm going to do again, just because it's my preference, I'm gonna sort the data in ascending order. Okay, and I'm going to delete this usage column. We're going to calculate how to measure the usage from 1 meter reading to another. Let me go back into descending. Let me actually go back into that. Okay, so first of all, let's just recreate that. Let's recreate the column. Okay, usage kilowatt hour. We can also extend the columns here. So I'll just extend it to get the full column. Now the usage is just the difference between the prior reading and the current reading. So this is where formulas really come into play in Excel. So to start a formula in a cell, we just click up here in the formula bar. You want to start with an equal sign, okay? And what we'll do is find the difference between the current reading and the prior reading. So we can select here, this cell right here. And you'll notice that it comes up as reading. You notice in the formula bar, when I highlighted this cell, it comes up as just at reading. It's referencing the column name, right? But let's say we did this outside of a table, it's going to come up as B2 and not reading. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So we'll do that, and then in the formula bar, minus, and then we'll just subtract this cell, this prior reading. So look, it's coming up as B3 now. Okay, and then that's pretty much it. That's simply it. And then we just press enter. Whoa. Okay, so I believe this is flash fill. I'm just going to stop that here. Okay. This is flash fill. Again, I didn't expect this to come up since I don't use the Mac version much. But flash fill allows you to automatically populate cells from a certain pattern or formula that you've created. So yeah, but pretty much if you don't want to use flash fill, or before flash fill, we'd want to kind of we'd want to create this a bit more manually. If we want to calculate the usage at each interval, do you really think we're going to be doing in each cell equals this reading minus the one just below? I mean, how many times are we going to do that? Hundreds of times. We're not going to do that. Instead, what we can do, we can just go to this top one, and then if you notice on the bottom right, the cursor icon slightly changes to a plus. You can actually drag down. Let's drag down to about here, and you'll notice that it automatically fills with the same formula you put in at the beginning. Okay, so if we just look through here, for each cell, let's have a look. It's reading minus B3. Okay, so if we click the formula bar, it will actually highlight the referenced cells for us that we use in the formula. So we've got, in this first cell, we've got this reading minus the below one, and then if we go to the below cell, again it's the reading for that day minus the prior one, reading for that day minus the prior one. So you should notice that when I drag down, the cell also changes as we go down. So the reading which is subtracted from the current reading on that row, it changes. So for example, we started with the corresponding reading on that day, so this reading here. We started with this reading minus B3. And then if we go on in the usage column, in the cell below, it's reading. So let me clarify. When it says at reading, it's the same, it's referencing the cell which is on the same row but in a different column. So it's named by the column name, right? So when it says reading, we're talking about, for this cell, when it says reading, we're talking about this cell. When we're talking about reading here, we're talking about this cell. For this cell, reading would be this adjacent cell. So when we dragged it down, you notice that it was all referencing reading, and that's different for each cell, as we just spoke about. But the cell that we're subtracting is different. And this is the cool thing about Excel. Actually, when you drag down the formula, the cell used in the formula changes as it goes down one as well. You notice you reading minus B3, reading minus B4, reading minus B5. And this is an extremely useful function in Excel because, a lot of times we do just need to kind of drag everything down. When we go down one cell, a lot of times when we're calculating something, we're usually referencing the cell below. If we're calculating something like usage or consumption between different readings, we're just referencing the same two cells. So you'll notice the formula is slightly different as we go down the usage column. So it's reading, as you spoke about, which is different for each cell, but it starts from minus B3 when we go down, B4, B5, B6, B7. Essentially, my point is, when we are writing a formula when we reference a cell in a formula, when we drag down the formula into the below cells, Excel automatically adjusts the cell in the formula to one below, to the below cell as well. It goes down. It goes down to the following row. So you'll notice that in the beginning, we start with reading minus B3. Essentially, it's just this corresponding reading on the same row, and then minus the row below, so B3. Let's have a look at. Oh, sorry. To escape to get out of the formula bar, you just press escape. That's what I do personally. If we look at the row below, it's reading minus B4. As you spoke about, for this cell, D3, this specific cell, when it references that reading, it's this corresponding cell here, right? So for each cell, reading is different. It's the corresponding reading on the same row, okay? You notice that it's reading minus B4. So it's the corresponding reading minus B4. When we drag down formulas in Excel, it automatically adjusts the formula to match the new row. So as we went down one cell, so did the formula. It adjusted by one cell down. Okay, and it keeps on going. Keeps on going. That's the cool thing about Excel. Now, instead of dragging down the whole table, remember, people deal with data that's like hundreds, thousands of rows in Excel, so they're not going to drag down. What you can do is double click this bottom right corner here. Excuse me. Drag down the bottom right corner here. You can double click that, and then the formula will just populate the whole column. Excuse me, let me adjust my camera. I don't know why it's I forgot when I adjusted that. My apologies. Yeah, as you can see, it just went down like this. As you can see, the whole column is now populated. Okay. Now, if you look here, there's something slightly unusual. I've just had a look. The bottom reading, the beginning reading, this usage isn't correct because there's no reading before. If we have a look at the formula, it's at reading minus B645. So it will be, if we look at the formula, it's this reading minus this blank cell. It must be considering this blank cell as a 0. What we'll do is we'll just manually change this reading to 0. Okay? We can just do that this one time. And for now, we'll just ignore this error. Okay? Now, we can make a more robust formula, but that's for another time, to make sure that something like this doesn't normally happen. So that's how you calculate usage manually between two readings. You'll notice the formatting, as in where the text lies in the cell, is slightly inconsistent between between the columns in this table. On the date, you can see that the readings, well, the date is leaning towards the right of the cell. And in the readings column, it's the same, but in the type, this type column, it's towards the left. The usage is right again. This is usually because of different format types. So Excel considers this column as a custom. Usually basically when you input a date or a number or a decimal number in Excel, it usually formats it to the right of the cell, but to normal text it will be to the left. So we obviously don't want to have this kind of inconsistent formatting in our table. So what I'll do, I'll just highlight the whole table. So again, Control Shift down, or Command if that's what you've got. And we've highlighted the whole body of the table. Okay. What we can do, if we go up to formats here, okay, down in just right here. Okay, we can just press the middle button here, and the text will all be formatted in the center. Okay. I just want to draw your attention to something here as well. You'll notice that when the dates are formatted as date/month/year, but the formula bar shows something different. That's because of the specific formatting of the cell. Again, formatting, I'm using the word formatting a lot. Formatting is just how data is literally visually shown, how it's shown in a table or in the cells. So when I say the formatting of the alignment, it's just specifically if the text or date or number is aligned left to right or center. Each different each different text format or number or date will align differently automatically, but I'll just put it as in the middle for now. So yeah, again, you'll notice that what I'm referring to is it shows as date dash month dash 25. So not even the full dates. Sorry, and then here it shows as date 31/08/2025. So why does it show differently? Well, when we go to, if we look at here, this, let me draw your attention to here. When we click these cells, it shows us custom here. And then when we go to, let's say when we go to reading, it shows us general. That means that there's no specific format. Really, it should be number, or that does add an extra decimal, but an extra decimal place, but it's really not a big deal. I'll just undo that. Let me just change the formatting of this one cell. If I go up to here in this bar, okay, it's right now it's custom, so you've got these predefined formats here, fraction, percentage, time, and so on. But then if you want something, you can customize it a bit further. So if you go to more number formats, you can see it's a custom format, and you can see this is what it's selected as automatically. It's just done this. So date dash month dash 25. So let's say I wanted to return it like normal. I can just choose this format as well here, which is date / month / year. I'm probably going to do this because I mean, you may prefer this or you may not, or if you're American, what you can also do, you can look for the specific predefined format here, but you can also just type it out. So if you instead want to do, if you're an American, for example, month MMM to show it's the month is shortened to 3 characters. So M, and then if you want to do a dash date and then dash 25, for example. Oh, sorry. Right, and then we can see that the sample is now changed. So the data in the cell will change its format to month, day, and then year. And if you press OK, you can see it's changed here. And if we wanted to change that for the rest of the column, we just double click there and it's changed here. Okay. So if that's something you want to do, you can also do. Personally, I'm going to change it back because I'm a Brit. And I prefer this format, to be honest with you. Let's start by plotting the cumulative reading over time. So what I've done here, okay, if we go to insert, we will see a selection of icons here relating to what charts and graphs we can insert. So we've got a column, we've got a bar chart, pie chart as well. What I want to do is insert a line chart into here. Now it's not showing anything because we haven't selected any data to plot yet. If we right click, we can start by selecting the data. Okay. Okay, let's add a series. Okay, this is the series we'll be plotting. Now the name will be readings. What are the Y values? They will actually, the Y value is going to be the actual cumulative readings, okay? But when we press this icon here, we can select which cells we'll be plotting in the graph, okay? Let's go back on to the other sheet and then press readings here. You'll notice in the formula bar, it comes up with meter readings, header, reading. Meter readings is the name of the table. Now headers, we don't actually want to be including the header. When we remove that, excuse me, sorry. Now when we type it as meter readings, square brackets readings, it selects the whole column except for the header, and that's what we want. When we press this icon, we go back down, horizontal labels. Here's where we choose the date. We're going to do the same thing as before, choose the date in the table and then remove the headers. Okay. Let's press OK and see what happens. Okay. Here we've got a pretty good line graph we can see that over time, we've got a good amount of readings here over time. So it's about one reading a month from the 18th of June 2023 to the 18th of August 2025. So this is I'm pretty happy with this. We've also got the cumulative reading on the left here. I want to make some changes to this first. So the title I want to change to reading over time, because that's what it is. It's just a reading over time, isn't it? When we click add chart element, okay, we'll see the axes titles here. So primary horizontal, let's start with the horizontal axes, okay? Now let's write, it's going to be here, date. Let's just put it as date. That's pretty adequate. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let's make this title slightly bigger. Okay, when we go back to chart design, let's add horizontal axes. Oh, sorry. Let's add a vertical axis, a vertical title. Okay. What will this be? This will just be reading. Okay, let's increase this a little bit. It's really small. Let's just move this a little bit here. Everything's a bit too cramped right now, so I'm just gonna make a bit of space. Okay. Now I want to rotate these dates 45 degrees, so text direction, rotate by 90 degrees. Let's do custom angle 45 degrees. And press enter. Minus 45. Yeah, that's good. Let's just remove the grid lines. They're not really needed here. The axes look a bit empty, so let's do, it's okay, there are no tick marks. Let's do some tick marks here. And the same here, let's do some tick marks here. The outside as well. It's my preferred method. So I've just gone on each of these axes here. I've just changed the color of the axis to black here. Okay, and now we can visibly see the tick marks. Okay, now I want to get rid of the border. Don't particularly like it that much. And I'll just bring this down a bit, just so the title has a bit more emphasis. What I'll do is I'll just increase this again. Change this to kilowatt hours. Just want to increase it a little bit as well. I think 11 is a good size. That's all right. Again, let me just, I want the axes titles to kind of pop out as well. So that's why I'm giving it a bit of space between the actual axes and the title. You know, maybe I will add back in the grid lines as well. it's just a bit, it's just a bit bland like this. So chart design, grid lines. Cool. I mean, this is an okay graph. You can make it pop out a little bit. If you click on the graph, go to chart design, you have a whole host of designs here. Yeah, you can just choose how you best see fit. I've just done what I think looks alright. But yeah, I mean, this is one thing you can do when analyzing data, which is just graphing it. So I mean, the opportunities are endless in what we can visualize and graph. So something that I'm interested in is comparing the usage in the winter compared to the summer. So generally, the winter period is considered to be October to March, and the summer period is April to September inclusive. What I was thinking was we could make like a donut graph which shows the proportional usage of winter and summer throughout the year. So to get started, what we need to do is, because I want to create a graph where there's a drop down to select what data is included in the donut chart, whether it's 2023, 24, 25 data, all the usages are considered. So I'm just going to add a few helper columns to this table. So a helper column is a column which you add to your table to help you with analysis and filtering later on. So I'm just going to put a column called year, and I'm just going to put in the formula year and a bracket, and then select this cell here, close bracket, and then it just goes to 2025. Now, if we just right click, we'll see that it's populated the whole table. The whole table is populated from 2023 to 2024. So, in addition to this, how do we figure out whether a specific date in the table is a winter or a summer date? So let me put another column called season. I've just got a little formula written down here. So we'll have a quick look at if statements here. So an if statement, right? Logical. We'll go through each component of an if statement. But just to explain, an if statement is essentially if this condition is satisfied, fill the cell with this, otherwise fill it with this. So what is the logical test? What are we actually testing for now? We're going to be using the month function, just like the year function. So that can range from anywhere from 1 to 12, right? The thing is, with how I've explained it in terms of what counts as a winter month, it's October to March, right? So that's essentially 10 to 12 in terms of the month, and then 1 to 4, right? Oh, sorry, 1 to 3. We can't just put this and then if the month is in between these two values, because because with the year it clocks over, doesn't it? So it's going to be, we'll have to introduce an or function here as well, because basically if the month is if it's equal to or over 10, that's winter. But if it's less than or equal to 3, which is March, it's also winter. We can't include it in one statement, as it doesn't fall within you can't include it in one bounding, because the year is clocking over back to from 12 to 1. We can't do a single statement like that. So we're gonna have to do or. Basically, with or, there are two statements that there are two things that can satisfy the or statement, right? Only one of the two have to apply. So the logical test for one, with or, the first thing that can satisfy is if month of this, of the date there, is larger than or equal to, larger than or equal to 10, right? That counts for October, November, December, right? Or apart from that, it can also, month can also satisfy less than or equal to 3, right? Because it doesn't have to, when it's less than or equal to 3, it's covering January, February, March, right? So that's the whole winter period included, right? We close the brackets here. Now, if it does fall into, if the month does fall into these values, right? What is the output that's going to be displayed into the on the cell? What's the output going to be? The cell is gonna say winter, right? It's gonna say winter. We're getting a winter, right? If this condition is not fulfilled, so if this isn't fulfilled, what's the output? It's summer, right? The statement can be written the other way around. It really doesn't make a difference. All right. This is in August, so okay. I think because this bracket was the wrong way around. Okay, I closed the bracket at the wrong place here. So this comes up with summer, which is correct. Drag it down, continues to come up with summer. Then we can see as we get to March, it's winter. Goes back to summer and so on. So this is exactly what we need now. And then we're going to create a pivot table. Pivot tables group and total things for you. You can sum certain columns, or find the average of something, or find the product of something based on the filters you put in the pivot table, right? It's going to be really useful when we make this chart. Okay. Now, how exactly do we make a pivot table? Press insert, and then all you do is press pivot table. Select the table that you want to create the pivot table from, meter readings. Make it a new worksheet just to keep it clean, and press OK. Right, I'll move my face here. Essentially, we don't have a table right now, but we have fields. Okay, the fields are pretty much just, they are the columns. You'll notice they're just the columns in the table. We're going to make a four-way table right now, showing we want to find, basically, for us to make a donut chart where we show how much is used in the winter and summer, we need to actually find out how much was used in the summer and winter periods for each year, if we want to filter it by year, right? So imagine a four-way table, winter, summer, and maybe, imagine a table where in the rows it shows the winter and summer, and then you've got columns of the total usage in 2025, 24, 23. That's what I'm going to create right now in this pivot table. This is what pivot tables are really useful at doing. So in the rows, I'm going to put season. I'll just drag it right down here. Here we go. Summer and winter. Columns. Columns, we've got usage. All right. Okay, this is incorrect. It's showing us all the different usages in the summer and winter months, like literally each cell that was in the table. That's not correct. Okay, values. I believe it should be under values. Okay, and here we go. Sum of usage in the summer and winter months. We've got this is This is the total usage in summer and winter months in the whole data set. But the thing is, out of interest, we want to filter it by year. So we get year here, and then we just filter it like this. Okay, and then we've got this filter right here. We can, let me select 2020. You know what, let me do 2024. We've got to have incomplete data for 23. Okay, and here's comparison from 24 to, here we've got the usage in 2024. Okay. Now we've separated it by summer and winter. And notice we've done sum of usage. It doesn't have to be sum. We can also we can change it to something like, if you go to field settings here, count, average, max, minimum, product. Let's do average. What was the average usage in between all the meter readings in summer and winter? Basically, what we can infer from this, something like this, is on average, between each meter reading given, there was more used in winter than summer, 6.8, 6.3. Honestly, I would have expected more, but I think in flats, you know, it may not deviate as much. Plus, in electric only households, you know, you can use quite a lot of electric just with heating. Anyways, one of those things you just have to investigate. Let me change it back to sum. That's what we're looking at here. How do we create the donut chart now? Okay. This is called, it's going to be called a pivot chart, right? Since we're going to be making a chart from a pivot table. Insert, pivot chart. We go right here. Okay. And notice it just created a graph based on all the values and fields that I've already selected on the pivot in all the fields here. All the fields I've selected it, and what I've got here is just made a graph based on that. So it's pretty cool. I don't need to do any more, you know, configuring of that. You know, what if I don't really want it to be a bar chart? I want to be a pie chart, and I wanted to do donut as well. Summer and winter. This is okay. The thing is, this isn't great. I mean, I wanted to have a bit more substance to it. If I change design, if I go to design here, data labels, what if I show? Okay, so this is, if I show the data labels, it actually shows the usage. Okay, and then legend. I'll do it at the bottom. What do I want it to show as? This is okay, but what do I really want it to show as? We've got we've got here some predetermined form, you know, styles and stuff, but you know, you can just play around with it, see what you like. What do I like here? Honestly, I'm not a big fan of this. You know what? It's because I wanted it to show as a percentage, actually. Okay, I need to change the pivot values. I need to change what it shows as the values here. Show data as. Ah, here it is. Okay. Difference of percentage of grand total. That's what I was really looking for. Okay. So this is a lot better. This is what I was looking for. We can just, you know, change the data a little bit. Change the font to white. That's looking a bit better. And then maybe the background we can change a little bit to design. Change colors. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. How do I change the background again? Chart area. If I fill with solid fill, okay, we can go to solid fill, and you know, I've been liking a purple background recently. It's alright. It's pretty nice. So Yeah, this is all right. No, what's this? So something like this is pretty nice, to be honest. I mean, obviously change the title to, usage in winter versus summer. Okay, change the font, change the color to white because it's just a little bit cleaner, in my opinion. Hmm. Let me change it to. Maybe I'll change it to slightly darker. Yeah, this is better. This is okay. Yeah, all right. Um. Okay, so to be honest, I would have expected a lot more usage in the winter. I mean, it is a flat, so I mean, maybe in an electric only flat, maybe this particular because this isn't my data, this is someone else's. There's someone else's another property. I live in a house, so this is an apartment usage. We expect usage to go up in the winter. It's because they're an electric only property. I'd expect to them use to I'd expect them to use a lot more energy in the winter, but maybe they don't need to turn on the heating for a long time. They've only got a couple of storage heaters. Maybe the heating doesn't consume as much. I expected it to be more. You know, Plotting this out and analyzing all of this, it raises questions. I mean, this is the whole point. Why is this happening? Why is this not happening? Um, Blah blah blah. Further investigation is needed. That's basically the whole point of being a data analyst, isn't it? Just showing the findings, and then the other teams in the business can make their decisions and take that how they will. Okay. Um, what I wanted to do here as well, I wanted to filter it. So 2024. Let's select all of the data now. Now you notice it changed a little bit, the donut chart. Now, what if I'm showing this to someone and I don't necessarily want it to look, I don't want this here, I don't want them to have to select from here. I can insert something called a slicer. A slicer is essentially just a drop down widget. Um, so insert slicer. Okay. If I put year, with a slicer, it kind of looks like buttons you can just press, right? If I want to compare usage in 2023, just press 23. To remove any filters, you just press this bin button. 24, you can compare. 25, you can also compare. If by no filter, it just compares the usage over the 3 years. If I want to do, let's say, 2024 to 2025 and leave out 23, I just hold and press 24, drag down to 25, and then let go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Or if you want it to be like a drop down like this, just go up here and then just select as you'd like. Okay, so this pretty much summarizes my analysis of meter consumption data. I've just shown you just how I tend to play around in Excel when it comes to data. Generally, just a bit of formulas, bit of visualization. I mean, there's so much more to Excel than this. It's just, um, I'm sure we'll be covering more in the future. Anyway, thank you for watching, and be on the lookout for more. And if there's anything else you want me to demonstrate, then feel free to write it down in the comments. Thank you.